What's up everybody, Dan here. We're doing another Halo MCC achievement guide, and this time we are tackling the Halo 3 Witch Doctor achievement, and that is get all the Halo 3 skulls in the campaign mission. This is a very time-consuming achievement, but it is a lot of fun to do pretty much a hide-and-seek kind of game thing. So at the beginning of Sierra 117, you're going to navigate through a forest full of trees and leaves, and right afterwards you're going to get to this open lake where there's going to be a phantom, a bunch of brutes, and a bunch of grunts. Right after you defeat them, you're going to go to the right hand side, and there's going to be the blind skull sitting on a rock, and that's where you're going to get the very first skull of the game. Now, it might be important to note that these skulls do take a little while for the achievements to appear, so if you drop the skull, maybe swing a little bit, then you do get the achievement eventually. So the Iron Skull, this one's the second skull in the game. It's going to be a little bit further on towards the end of Sierra 117. Now you could either do this after saving Johnson and killing all the enemies, or you could do it right before. As you can see here, I decided to do it before I save Johnson, and I get to utilize this bird's eye view to take down some of the enemies. If you are playing this on Legendary, it's important to note that a lot of Jackals like to hang out up here with the beam rifles and coveted carbines, so just keep a watchful eye because this area is a very good sniping spot. But right after you get across the whole beam, you're going to get towards the very end, and that's where you'll find the Iron Skull. At the very beginning of the next mission, Crow's Nest, you're going to see literally right after the cutscene is going to be the Black Eye Skull. You're going to walk around, you're going to jump up on top of that cage, you're going to try to jump up top of this giant pipe, and then at the very end is going to be the Black Eye Skull. Like I said, this is literally right after the cutscene, so it's right at the beginning of the whole mission, and there's the achievement. And then right after you get it, you can punch Johnson with it. A little bit later on towards the mission, probably around the middle, right after a massive room full of brutes and a brute chieftain with the hammer, you're going to go down this little hallway and down this hole, and then you're going to walk through this hallway with a bunch of drones flying back and forth. Right below this floor, however, is where the Grunt Birthday Party skull is. So in order to get there, you have to hug the lip of this walkway and then stick the landing, and then right below it is where the skull is. Now this is obviously the best skull in the whole game, because if you don't know what Grunt Birthday Party does, it is a lot of fun. So if you do get it, turn it on. So for Tsavo Highway, this one, the Lux Skull, it is a little bit tedious to get, but if you could stick the landing, if you're good at jumping, then this one would be an easy achievement for you to get. This one is about halfway through the mission, and after you get through an area full of brutes and brute choppers, you're going to go through a tunnel, and then on the left-hand side, you're going to jump over the bridge, and you're going to get to this area where there are a bunch of pillars and bridge beams holding up the bridge together. You're going to have to jump around that pillar right there, and then you're going to have to jump across this way to get to this rock. Now obviously I decided to take it safe, and I brought a grav lift with me, but by no means do you need to bring it with you. As you can see there, I stuck the landing, so you don't really need the grav lift if you don't have it, but it's just safe to have one. So now on to the Cat Skull. This is by far the hardest skull to get in Halo 3. This is about towards the middle of the mission, but this is, like I said, the hardest skull to get. And we did this on normal difficulty, and we died maybe about 4 to 5 times doing this. So the reason why this skull is so hard to do is because the anti-air wraith in the middle of the map has to still be active in order for the skull to still be there. Once the anti-air wraith is destroyed, the skull disappears. So it's best to not target the anti-air wraith at all. Don't destroy it, don't touch it. But in order to help your efforts, destroy the ghost by picking up this missile pod at the top of this little building right here. Destroying the ghost will make your life a whole lot easier, because in order to get to the top of the tower, you need to grenade jump off your Warthog. So what we're going to do over here is we're going to navigate towards the anti-air wraith, and as you can see, like I said, you have to keep the anti-air wraith functioning in order for the skull to still be there. So approach the tower with caution, get there as quick as you can, because as you can see, I lost half my health. Grenade jump off the stupid thing and almost kill yourself, and then pick up the Cat Skull at the very top. This skull is, like I said, the hardest one to get to. As long as you get this skull, you're pretty much in the clear for the rest of this achievement. So after that mission, after that hard mission, the Fog Skull at the beginning of Floodgate. This is literally right at the beginning, right after Miranda Keyes has her spiel about how the flood has taken over the city. You're going to head towards these destroyed buildings, and then you're going to see a flood spawn jump across. Now in order to get the skull, you have to either A, shoot the head, or B, you have to kill the stupid thing, because otherwise if it jumps across completely, you're not going to be able to get the skull. If you do miss the flood spawn by whatever happened, then you're going to have to either A, restart the mission, or B, just start from the last checkpoint. That's the only way you could probably get the skull. So the next mission is the Ark. This one is a little bit of a difficult one, but it's a little bit fun to get. This is about 2/3, actually maybe a third of the way through the mission. This is going to be right after that fork in the road, and then once you make that right-hand turn, you're going to get to this little building right over here. On the last tower is where the famine skull is going to be. In order to get up there, you have to grenade jump. I don't recommend using a sticky grenade, so if you have regular grenades, use them. Make sure you hold on to them throughout the whole mission, because that's the only way to pretty much get up there. Right after you get that skull, is going to be a little bit of a challenge point, because you're going to get your scorpion, then you're going to have to fight the scarab. But right after you fight the scarab, there's going to be this little building in the middle of this map. Over here is where you're going to pick up a grav lift. This is vital to later on in the mission, because you need the grav lift in order to get the cowbell skull. Now right after you go into the temple and into a room with a bunch of sleeping grunts and a brute, there's going to be a room full of grunts just minding their own business. Right after you kill them, you're going to go into this hallway, use the grav lift, and get to the very tippy top of the hallway in order to get the cowbell skull. This one did take a few efforts, it did take a few tries, but overall, if you can manage to get up there in one try, props to you. So for the Covenant mission, the Thunderstorm skull is going to be at the second tower right after you hop aboard a Hornet. This skull is very easy to get. It is not difficult at all. In fact, I don't understand why 1% of most Halo gamers have only gotten this achievement. This is literally, this whole Witch Doctor thing is very easy to get. But once you get to the top of this building, you get the Thunderstorm skull right there, and then you can get a perfect, beautiful view of the chaos and destruction happening outside. Now later on, towards the end of the Covenant mission, and I highly recommend doing this after you kill the Prophet of Truth and after you kill all the Flood. As you can see from the beginning of this room, there is ring number 1. I just passed ring number 2. And then this next area is going to be ring number 3, 4, 5, and the next area is going to be 6 and 7. Now it's important to note that these rings are numbered, mainly because you have to follow this jump sequence in order to get the skull to appear in the map. So for number 4, you're going to jump through the 4th ring on the map, and it's easy to tell because the 4th ring is the destroyed one if you have remembered playing Halo 1. And then after that, you're going to run along through these little doors and then go to ring number 6. Then you're going to go back and you're going to jump through number 5. And then you're going to jump through number 4. And then you're going to go back to number 5. And then you're going to go back to number 3 and then number 4. Now, I want to point out that if you do, for some or whatever reason, mess up this sequence, it's probably best to go back to the previous checkpoint and try not to fix it, because for all we know, we don't know where you were last left off, so it's probably best to just restart if you do mess up the sequence. Now, right after you do get the sequence correct, the rings are going to light up, and that's going to indicate that the skull is now on the map. Once it's back, you're going to head back to where the Prophet of Truth was, and then you're going to go to the bridge and pick it up off of the bridge. Now, for some reason, this skull always has a long time to load up the achievement, so you may need to drop it a few times, you may need to punch a few things a few times, but this skull always has an issue with loading. There it is. Okay, all I had to do is punch a Flood. And speaking of Flood, in the next mission, the Cortana mission, what you're going to do is you're going to head to this big room where the Flood are all compact in. After you kill them all, you're going to go to this little, I guess, ledge, and you're going to jump from the ledge onto a mushroom along the wall. This one is a little bit frustrating because if you don't really understand the game's physics, you may have a little bit of an issue, mainly because right here, even I had an issue, I hit the ceiling. But if you manage to stick the landing on the first mushroom and then the second mushroom, you're pretty much good to go after that point. So then after you get on the second mushroom, you're going to jump across to the third one, and then you're just going to run across this tentacle to where there's going to be some skeletons and the skull just chilling there right up top away from all the enemies, if there are any on the map still. And then for the next skull, the last skull, it is going to be on the final mission of Halo. This is probably the easiest skull to get. It's just right off to the side, there's no enemies here, and it's right at the beginning, so even if you didn't want to play the actual mission itself, you could just start up the mission, go off over here, pick up the skull, and just end it. It is just nice and fitting that the game ended off with such a peaceful skull to pick up. No enemies to deal with, no struggles, just the skull right there, just chilling. So if you like this video, like, comment, subscribe, show your support in any way, and if there are any other achievements you'd like us to tackle, just let us know in the comments below and we'll get to them as soon as possible. Thanks for watching.